Now let's share with you what the front pages of the papers are saying. At some point we'll have a guest join us, but let's look through what the top stories are on the front pages of the papers. We're looking first at Daily Trust newspaper, and on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, some of the big stories that we're going to be looking at include 24 hours to polls, Igala elders call for postponement, women protest in Bayelsa. This is the update in Bayelsa. Travelers miss flights as Labour grounds Imo-bound planes. IGP storms Kogi. Military raises alarm on fake soldiers. That's another one. Fake soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw someone make similar accusations. I think, it was Kogi State where Dino Malaya had said that the APC's candidate, one of their tactics was to buy military uniforms and police uniforms for thugs and hand them over to them, to carry out their nefarious activities. Those were his allegations. He did it. I think he said them in a press conference that he gave out maybe about a week ago, less than a week ago. Okay,
all right. Well, we hope that investigation is being done about this. Labour action inconsiderate, not reasonable, says Yadudu. Protest won't hamper Saturday elections, says INEC. DSS reads Riot Act to troublemakers. If you're a troublemaker, the Riot Act has been read. They will not allow you to tamper with the elections. Students threaten strike over tuition hike in Ogun. So this is another thing, I don't know. I feel like the conversation about tuition hike, we never really got a finality towards it. I don't know if there's anything that's really been done about the protest in Unilag at that point. We've seen students and parents join in the protest. I remember seeing a video of a father sitting on the ground and crying, and I don't think I can get that picture out of my head. But yeah, Ogun State is now feeling the heat of the increased cost of living, and they've increased their tuition fees. They've hiked the tuition fees. Very, well, maybe necessary, but sad, because the average person is just trying to feed. First of all, talk more of now increasing the cost of how much they'll pay to get an education. CITF commanders, 4 others killed in Borno mine blast. Wow, that's sad. Federal government flags off resettlement homes for Benue IDPs. Explosion, Canada says visa centers in Abuja and Lagos remain open. Okay, all right. 59 mosques destroyed in Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Sad as well. 14.3 trillion remitted to Federation account in 2 years. And that's what we have on the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right. We're going to move to the leadership newspapers next. See what we can find over there. It says 5.1 million voters decide Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa's future. ANEC distributes non-sensitive materials. Military, state security warn troublemakers to steer clear. Police chief deploys DIGs, bans sirens and revolving lights, covered number plates, tinted glasses. FRSC sends 1,500 personnel. And I would once again say, yes, I understand the idea behind having logistics ready for the electoral process, but I hope that we get to see in Nigeria someday. It's not very likely to ever happen, but I'm hoping that we get to see in Nigeria someday that we do not necessarily need all of these security presence for just elections.
Nope.
The elections are not, do or die on the level that, you need the level of security that feels like you're going to war for just elections. Wike remains my principle, says Fubara. The people of River State, of course, will be the ones to either enjoy this romance or suffer. Customs to evacuate 6,000 overtime cargoes from seaport. That's also on the leadership this morning. Nigeria, Saudi Arabia sign MOU for oil and gas sector cooperation. We're joined this morning by Mr. Bode Gbadebo, who is the online editor, Leadership Newspapers. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, both anchors, and good morning to your African audience. Good morning, News Central.
Thanks for your time. Let's quickly have you speak on of course, the big one there on the leadership newspaper, which is centered around the, elections. It says 5.1 million people will decide of course, the trajectory of these 3 states. But it's not only just the voters, it's also the security presence. We've seen the involvement of the police. We've seen redeployment of Inspector General, commissioners of police. We've seen the army also get involved. It feels like a lot of chaos, just for the elections. What are your thoughts on, what tomorrow might look like in these 3 states?
Yeah, ordinarily it shouldn't be chaos. Elections should just, come and go. Is a way of exercising one's franchise. So it shouldn't be militarized. It shouldn't be like a war zone. But then, given our culture of impunity, this has to happen. And I believe it's happening in our democratic interest. So talking about tomorrow in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa states, well, my people will say whatever Saturday, that will be okay, that will be good. You begin to see the signs on a Friday. Incidentally, today is Friday, and tomorrow, which is the D-Day, is Saturday. So a lot of things have been done by concerned stakeholders, starting with INEC. It said it has done all necessary preparation, deployed sensitive and non-sensitive materials. Staff have been adequately mobilized. In fact, INEC told us just yesterday, through the chairman, that extra workers will be deployed from other neighboring states to Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo, just to help with the process. So it shows INEC is on top of its game, at least from what we have heard from the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Ayaw. Also, the security part of the election, I think the security forces are up and doing. The Inspector General of Police, the Department of State Service, the members of the Armed Forces of Nigeria have also, read riot acts to be troublemakers, that it won't be business as usual. So they've also mobilized. In fact, a show of force in one of the state concerned about 2 days ago to tell the people that we are not here to play, we are here to actually work. So to the best of my knowledge, and less than 24 hours to the D-Day, I think so far so good. So far so good.
All right, and there's also part to speak about INEC's preparedness. Expand a little bit more on INEC's preparedness, because they made promises the same way they made in February early this year. They made all of these promises, and eventually, it seems like they couldn't meet up, with the promises that they made. But I'm sure that also created a lot of doubt with regards INEC's sincerity in carrying out a free, fair, and credible election. So let's talk about, what you expect, tomorrow. Is INEC ready? Will INEC ad hoc staff, be able to play, their role effectively? Will the people of Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo see an INEC that understands what, is expected of it?
Personally, I want to see an INEC that is interested in redeeming itself from the malfeasance, from the infractions of the recently conducted 2023 general election, just a few months ago in February and March this year. So I want to believe naturally that INEC, we want to redeem itself ahead of the 2027 general election. This is just an off-cycle exercise and very, very historic. This is the first time INEC is conducting off-cycle election in 3 states at the same time across 3 geopolitical zones of the country, and that's half 50% of the 6 geopolitical zones. So we have Bayelsa in the south-south, we have Kogi in the north-central, and we have Imo in southeast. So we can only keep our fingers crossed. When we keep our fingers crossed and give INEC benefit of the doubt that it will actually work it talk, because listening to the chairman yesterday, Professor Mamu Yakubu, he had this kind of he presented himself as one person who is ready to lead INEC to a successive exercise to redeem itself from what happened in recent past and ahead of 2027. So he said they were going to upload results on the INEC result viewing portal, which is a IREF. And you know what that means? It will enhance transparency in the electoral process. And also he said about 6 national commissioners will be deployed, 2 in each state, and additional 9 resident electoral commissioners, RECs, will also be deployed from
The
other
challenge-
states to these 3 affected states to
Yeah.
bolster confidence and to also help with the INEC workers on ground.
Yeah, the challenge is, they said these same things in February. So it's not like it's a new thing. Everybody has heard about the IREV and BVAS and, redeployment of, this person and that person. But of course, it seemed like even when they failed, they refused to take responsibility for, where they failed in one way or the other. But we'll see how tomorrow turns out, and we'll be here, of course, to report it. Bode, Gbadebo, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Great to speak with you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.